the Absolute Business Mindset podcast, created and hosted by Mark. This podcast will interview entrepreneurs, business owners, and people in their careers. We will delve into their journey to success, key life milestones, and go deep in their area of expertise. This podcast will inspire and educate with great guests. So get ready to learn from other successes and failures. Today we have John Vuong, who is the founder of local SEO Search company, which is based in Toronto, Canada. Hello, John. How are you?
Hi, Mark. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me. So as I start with most of the people that I talk to, we go back to your sort of degree, but I wanted to take a step further back with you. So when I was doing the research on you, you've grown up in Canada all your life, but your parents were what's been deemed as boat people from Vietnam in the 1980s. So tell me a little bit about the story of your family coming to Canada, and then just give me a little sort of insight into what your sort of upbringing and lifestyle was being a Vietnamese in Canada.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks a lot for the intro. For me, it was interesting, but that's all I knew, right? So growing up back in 1980, that's when I was born. My mom actually had me 2 weeks prior to, she had me 2 weeks after coming to Canada. So during the war, she had to escape, live in a refugee camp, and basically survive. And what I knew of the war was my parents had a business, but they had to liquidate all their assets for gold to then escape in whatever fashion and means possible, being pirates or smugglers, because when it's war, you do anything to leave, right? For the betterment of your family. And so I am very grateful for what my parents sacrificed. I'm the fourth child of immigrant family from Vietnam of 4 children. So I have 3 older siblings, and they were born in Vietnam, but they came here, and we believe we're more Canadian than ever, just because I was born here, but all we knew was living in Canada. And growing up, it was interesting because my parents didn't speak the language. We didn't have any support and didn't know anyone. So we were stuck in government housing, right? And we got a lot of subsidies. We got a lot of funding, food stamps. And, growing up, it was, I would say, for us, that was normal, right? Just family, very tight knit. We didn't know a lot of people. We didn't have things that I have today, right? With access, resources, people surrounding.
Yeah.
For us, it was just ourselves. So what I do recall very vividly was every night there was always food on the table, and we always had dinner together, right? And that was really the foundation of like our upbringing. Everything was together, family first. Right? We took care of each other. We only knew each other. We had to embrace it and really elevate together. And my parents were very strict as well. They really brought us up as work ethic, hardworking, get to school, go work, study, do the same, rinse, repeat, and eventually you'll have a decent job that will eventually pay for a decent career, right? So that's what we grew up doing, right? And I started working when I was young. I was a newspaper boy at 9, and basically I supported and helped whatever means I could, right? Like I didn't buy stuff for myself. It was really like milk and bread for the family, right? Like it was more about survival. And yeah, that's what I knew growing up until I finished university. I finished business school, like business finance. That's my studies. And I then started doing sales as my first career.
And okay, let's not jump too far. I've just got a couple of questions from what you've just shared with us. So what was the job that your parents did when they came? If they didn't speak the language very well, what sort of you said they always provided food and but there was subsidies, but what were your parents doing initially when they came over here?
Yeah, so my dad had diabetes and tuberculosis. So he had some diseases, and it was hard for him to get a job. So he had some side hustles, some under the table cash gigs, but he was more a bicycle repair shop owner back in Vietnam. So we did that here in Canada for a couple of years. And my mom was, again, 4 children. So you don't have time. Right. So she basically was trying to work as well, learning the language of English. And then she was more of a, daycare worker, right? Like taking care of other children, because that's all she knew, right? Growing up. But they always had food for us, right? Like for me, it was like, my memory was they worked hard. They had to do what they had to do to survive and get us through, to make it look like we lived a normal life. Right.
And so it's interesting. So we'll come on to your degree in a minute and sort of what happened after, because I want to touch on the sales, because I think it's one of the things that I really find fascinating about doing these interviews are how many people who are entrepreneurs start in sales or have some sort of influence in sales, because it gives you resilience. Anyway, we'll come to that in a minute. So you finished your studies. You then went to do your degree. Was that local to you? Because I've just got that it was Western Ontario. Were you living in Ontario at the time?
Yeah, so I grew up in a city called Hamilton, an hour outside of Toronto, Canada.
Okay. Yeah.
And then London, Ontario was where I went to school, which is like an hour and a half away from Hamilton. And it was, outside in a different community. And it was my first chance of living on my own, right? So I lived the residence life. I got a loan from school, but I also worked. So I was always working, and I probably had like 30 plus jobs up until I finished schooling to then get my real career type job.
Yeah. Okay. And you did finance, business, accounting, and economics.
Yeah, so basically business degree, learning a lot in terms of running a business. But again, at that age, it was all about accounting, finances. And I did a lot of co-op jobs, and I really didn't like sitting at a desk all day, looking at numbers, financial statements, reconciling statements, APAR, all that stuff. I was good at numbers, but I didn't enjoy sitting at the desk looking at numbers all day long.
So you then jumped to marketing.
Yeah, so marketing, actually, so during the third year of my university studies, I did a exchange program, and we had a partnership with a school in England, and I lived in the UK for 1 year in a town called Lancaster. So up in the Lake District, I went to Lancaster University, and I learned a lot in terms of like marketing and case studies and real life situation. It gave me a good exposure and culture shock and learning how to travel on my own and life experience of Hamilton, or where I grew up, right? A lot of people didn't experience travel, right? I've never flew in my life. This was my first time going away outside of driving for an hour and a half, right? So for me, it was a great experience. Really opened me up to like the global scale of what's going on in different cultures, different cities, countries, people, how they live, what do they eat, what's their day look like, right?
So you're in the Lake District, which is one of the most beautiful places in the UK.
Yeah, so it rained a lot.
Yes, it does.
For what I knew, I lived on campus, and yes, I visited a lot of like my flatmates' homes because I didn't have a home there. So for me, it was great to visit Manchester, Liverpool, and Leeds, and all these cool places, right? And then it was great because I've never met people outside of my neighborhood and my university to different countries, and it was a great experience.
That's fantastic. All right, so you came back to Toronto. So you joined red.toronto.com in a sales role. So as I said earlier on, I'm always interested in people who become entrepreneurs who have a grounding in sales for toughness, resilience, keep going, determination, as well as the actual skill of actually being able to sell as well. So did you think were you a natural salesman?
No, I think I had to really learn it because for me, I was just happy to get a job, right? For me, coming out of school, you have so much debt. You just wanted to see where you wanted to go with it, right? And I had an opportunity to continue traveling. Like I was gonna go to Japan and teach English,
Okay.
but instead my brother was like, "Look, big brother, here you have $30,000 in debt. You should do the right thing and start paying it down, right?"
Right. Right.
Me being younger at 23 at that age, I was like, "Okay, sure, let's see how this goes in terms
Right.
of life." So I had to slowly pay off the debt, but I enjoyed sales. I love the environment. I love the people. Um, and the funny thing was in the sales role, in the job description, it said you need a vehicle to do sales, right? Like you're outside sales, you go out and visit customers. Well, at that time, I had no money. I didn't have a vehicle. So the first couple months, I was taking public transit to every single meeting, and I just had to fake it to make it kind of thing. But they understood my circumstances, right? So I was very determined. I was always the first one in, last one to leave. I was listening to a lot of audio tapes. I was trying to self-teach as myself as much as possible, from objection handling, just doing more work, spending more time in it than ever. And I was pretty good at it, right? Like results don't lie because it's
Oh,
all numbers,
to be
right?
honest, I think you're being a little bit you're being a bit humble. According to the research I've done, you were smashing it. You were hitting best results in the area and things like that, weren't you?
Yeah, so for me, it was all about just hard work, right? And just getting to the next level. And for me, I had early on success in sales, and that's why I enjoyed it, right? Or else I wouldn't continue pursuing it.
Mm,
So then I dabbled into affiliate online marketing.
mm.
Um, and then eventually I went into, the big brand called Yellow Pages. I'm sure in
Yeah,
the
we'll
UK
come
it's
on
the
to
same.
that. Yeah.
But yeah, like it was a whole journey, and I stuck with advertising sales because that's all I knew, right? And I enjoy dealing with business owners in a one-on-one, real life relationship kind of sale environment, right?
Mm.
So I just stuck with it.
Well, as I say, look, we'll come on to Yellow Pages in just 1 minute. I'm just going to take a stop on the journey. Do you have a morning routine?
Currently, yes, I do.
Okay, what is it?
So even this morning, I woke up at 4, and sometimes I drink my coffee, sometimes I just have lemon water, and then I read, and then eventually I would get into my meditation or stretching mode of 15 minutes of just being grateful, knowing what I want out of the day. Just slow down a bit, right? Be present, understand what's coming up in for the day, because when the day starts it gets busy, right? Your meetings all day, so you need to really reflect and figure out like how you want to set your day. And that's what I do every morning. Actually, I wake up between 4 to 5 in the morning, do as much as I can up until 7, and at 7 I make breakfast for my family, and then we have lunch, breakfast, walk them to school, and then my day starts.
So just on that, because I always get a mix when I ask a question about morning routine. There's people that are very diligent and very almost militant sometimes about their morning routine, and that it's important to prepare yourself gratitude, prepare yourself for the day. And then the other type of people are a little bit more like me. I get up and start and I spend a bit of time with the kids, have breakfast, and then start your day. So for you, what is the benefit of having that 2 or 3 hours on your own away from the family and preparing yourself for the day? What why do you do it? What does it, what benefit do you believe that it gives you by
Well,
doing it?
it's my time, right? And it's me to do whatever I want without distractions, without work
Mm.
obligations, without children and family obligations. It's my time. I can watch a movie, I can listen to a podcast, read blogs, I can reply to whatever I want work related, but I enjoy reading, right?
Right.
It could be fitness. Right now, I can't go to the gym. So
Yeah.
I usually would either go to the gym or do a class or something, but now I don't. So it's more reading and consuming educational or hobby type books that I am passionate about learning, right? So I'm a big avid reader. I enjoy being educated, stimulated, and learning stuff that I want to learn.
Okay. So you mentioned a couple of times about audiobooks and the importance of that. Has that always been that sort of feeling of self-development, learning, always learning? Is that important to you?
Yeah, so curiosity has always been a biggest piece in my life, because I didn't have much growing up, right? So I'm always curious to see how other people live. What do they get out of life? Different situation, different ages, different lifestyles, different people grow up differently, and it's all relative, right? Where I need to sit down and reflect on my situation, and no one has lived my life. So reading gives me a good opportunity in terms of how they are grounded and how they formed their journey. And everything is different, right? But you can guide and take in whatever you want and mold it the way you want to as a business owner.
So this is a bit of a strange question. I have not asked this before on my podcast. So if you're getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, what time do you go to bed?
About 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Right. So you then took a role at the Yellow Pages group, and you had two roles over straddling between another job, but the second role was a media account consultant where you were developing and implementing media solutions for sales teams. um so this was a step up from redtoronto.com. This was in your mind, this was a bigger role, and you evolved from a pure sales role into sort of advertising side, media relations side. How was that? How was that shift, and how did you develop so well in that atmosphere?
Yeah, so I just take a step back. At Red Toronto, what it was a printed directory of websites going
Right.
to every single business, home, and office building. And it was a great concept and idea at that time. This was back in '03 when Google didn't really take off yet. And when dial-up was the way to access internet,
Yeah.
and websites were, takes a long time to load.
Yeah.
Email took a long time to load. Everything was slower,
Yeah.
right? Not like right now, it's instant, right?
Yeah.
So then I learned about advertising sales traditional, and then I learned it to digital. So I did some affiliate online, banner ads, email marketing, paid ads, etc. And then I worked at Yellow Pages. And the reason I got into there and wanted to get in was it was the media giant of Canada, because there's newspaper, radio, television, there's magazines, there's trade shows, there's only certain types of media channels at that time, right? And then I already dabbled to the digital with affiliate, and I thought, well, I enjoyed Red Pages. I love that whole culture of meeting business owners. Yellow Pages is a step up because there were 2,000 sales reps across Canada. We had a monopoly. There was only one Yellow Pages brand.
So just one thing for the people that are listening and they're sitting there going, what the hell is Yellow Pages? I know this is something I grew up in as well, but just tell us what the concept of the business, because it's totally defunct now. I assume there isn't, like, I think there's Yell.com now, which is sort of the same company. But at that time, tell us what Yellow Pages was.
So it's a printed directory of all website, all telephone numbers of every single local business, categorized in niches, right? So specific categories: plumbers, dentists, car repair, everything. So it was a comprehensive directory going out once a year to every single home, business, condo, apartment, office. It was free, right? So business owners paid to advertise, and it was mainly for placement, like near the beginning of the category with the largest ads, color, size, etc. So for me, I started there. I moved up from telemarketing. So you always have to start junior to then move up to more of a senior role, where then you had a book of business and you dealt with business owners with larger spends and you were managing their ad spend.
Um, and so as I said, you straddled the two different roles, multiple roles, but two different times in Yellow Pages. And what was your drive? Because obviously you were being successful. It sounded like when on the reading that I've done, you were moving up in the Yellow Pages, but then you suddenly decided to set up this SEO business, so SEO search. Um, what what was the shift that made you want to be an entrepreneur and set up be a business owner, where all the stuff you've talked about up to now was, even back to your culture, early stages in your culture, it was get a degree, get a good job, progress in a career. What made you change and want to start your own business?
So I was at Yellow Pages for about 5 years total. I learned a lot from a lot of salespeople, and there were say 2,000 sales reps, and I tried to grasp as much from the seasoned reps, right? The ones that were always at the top, and they were probably 10, 20, 30 years older than myself, right? With a lot of experience that had good track record. So I mimicked them. I followed their role, and I really enjoyed some of their lifestyles, right? Taking on a family, taking on, a great career, and they enjoyed and were passionate doing what they love. Then I was also lucky enough to meet thousands of business owners in 5 years, right? Where
Yeah, yeah,
I got to actually learn what was important to business owners as well,
yeah,
where it was a lot about adding value, providing a product or service that people were willing to pay for, and enjoying the community, the relationships, the people, and always just enjoying life, right? And it was all about like the two combining, because I love that aspect of
mm,
meeting people and being curious, asking tons of questions.
yeah,
And then also the role of a sales rep, where I had the opportunity to, you know, carve my path in terms of what I wanted out of my career. Like I could continue doing sales, but it's high stress as well. Like, don't get me wrong, like business ownership is probably the highest stress of it all, but sales prepares you, right? And mentally, there was a big shift because I was only doing sales, book of business, sales, marketing, that's it.
yeah,
Account management, service. So at the last couple of years at working at Yellow Pages, it was writing on the wall because a lot of these business owners were frustrated. They were just spending more than they've ever spent. Google was kind of shifting away user behavior and intent to move away from traditional advertising to more online digital marketing.
mm,
And so I needed to either pivot, work for another agency or somewhere else, or kind of listen to my customers because there was a gap there in the marketplace. There
mm,
were a lot of SEO companies currently in the marketplace at that time and still is today, right?
yeah,
Um, but they were going after larger brands. They were very high ticket items, right? But no one was really servicing the small, medium sized business owners.
yeah,
And I knew them inside out because I
mm,
would deal with them on a daily basis. And they told me, and they were frustrated. So, right there, there's a market opportunity.
yeah.
And I either work for someone else or try to figure it out myself. So, I had no SEO background. I had no idea technical wise,
I read also you didn't
nothing.
have a laptop by the time you got your first client.
Yeah. So for me, I wanted to see test my skills in sales, and
Right.
I bootstrapped everything. I
Yeah.
was in a different stage of my life where I just spent all my money getting married, bought a home, and I quit my job, right? So then it was like fresh start. But I do want to let everyone know that my wife supported me whatever venture I wanted to do. And that was the number one decision that I needed to really get me on the path. Someone that was on my side that had no idea what I was doing, but supported me, right? And without that reassurance of someone paying the mortgage or paying for food, I don't know if I would be in the same situation, right?
Right.
Um, because it's ultra stressful as it is. Like I didn't even pay myself the first couple of years. It was more about, yeah, I went out and got clients because I was, trying to sell. My job was sales. And then eventually I had to figure out how to do the things in the back end, right? And then I slowly hired and I made a lot of mistakes. So I fired and I hired and I fired and I learned a lot along the way.
Um, to tell me about your first couple of employees, because it's something it's an interesting thought. Did you go for a generalist to sort of support you, or did you go more targeted on things that you needed?
So I didn't know anything about SEO, right? So
Okay.
people were claiming to know everything. And then Again, I just used online. I think it was Odes at the time, to find people online. And I just, it was overwhelming. When you put a job posting out, there's like 50 to 100 applicants within an hour.
Right.
And you're overwhelmed. You don't know who to go to trust. You've never met these people. And you just take a shot, right? So it was
So
more about
how did
just,
you start your business if you didn't really have a background in SEO?
and that's the thing. I sold, right? I went out there, I got a couple $1,000s from sales,
Yeah.
and people trusted me and wanted to be a part of this journey, right?
Right.
And I was adamant. I basically told everyone, like, in 5 years, you're gonna know about us. So you either want to join now or not. And so my determination was, look, we're nobody now. We don't even have a website, let alone a business card or a laptop. But you'll know me in 5 years. So I just had this dream and desire to really always get better and do good and be honest, transparent. So it was more about like just that whole path of determination to get started, to know I could sell this product, an idea and concept, but then figure out how to perform and get results.
I'm astonished. Do you know what? I don't often get astonished by it, but starting a business in an area which you don't understand, you don't really have a great deal of knowledge on, but building a business to the point where you're successful and you've got employees and you've got a successful business, it takes a lot of balls to be able to do that, to do the early days, which would possibly be you on your own, trying to work these things out. What made you think you could make it work?
I mean, I was in sales, like I was starting from the bottom always, right? So it's just another challenge. And eventually in sales, I was near the top eventually, right? It's like you learn as much as you can, absorb content, read, watch videos, read, make mistakes, read, try to admire other people. Like it's just keep learning, never stop.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not even near the top, and that's okay. So I have a lot of room to grow, and that's okay too. It's a journey, right? So you just have to understand that it's not a race. It's slow and steady, and understand
It's a
that.
marathon. It's not a sprint. Yeah, I love that.
And that's SEO as well, right? Like people believe that it's right away. Well, it's not, and you just have to be honest with people about that.
And so you've targeted small, medium businesses, all your business. Is that a long-term strategy to stay in that sort of SMB area, the SME base, or would you be thinking to perhaps expand to corporates as well?
Well, we deal with probably 80% is small, medium-sized businesses. 20% is more national, global in scope. So they reach out to us. A lot of it's inbound right now. And we deal with, and we know our persona avatar type client right now, which is professional services versus the product-based Shopify type client or Amazon type. We just know where we sit, how we can help them, what we deliver as results. So understanding that, it took years to figure it out, right? Understanding pricing, understanding deliverables, understanding SOPs, processes, systems, people, culture. There's so much involved in running a business, especially if you want to scale and grow, right? But it's okay if you're okay with just keeping it small team, couple VAs, that's fine as well.
So how do you design, you don't have to go on a specific example, but how do you design like a customized SEO campaign for one of your clients? How do you build that for a client?
Yeah, so for customization, we use a lot of software to determine where they're at, benchmark them, figure out where they're sitting, and then who their major competitors are and which niche or industry they want to dominate for, which keywords, which markets, what do they want to be known as a leader. Then we come up with a plan and we start acting on it, understanding their avatar, understanding their ideal customer, understanding, the personas, the journey, the keyword intent. Like there's a lot behind it, not just strategy, but there's a lot of pieces that has to fit perfectly. And I grew the team from just SEOers to and content people and developers to now a full team of writers, graphic design developers, link builders, social media managers, just everything that's needed, like SEO wise, to help them along the way. It's not just one person that can do everything well, because then you're a generalist, right? If you're an expert, you need to do everything well.
Yeah. And that's something that I've from reading about your business now. It really is multifaceted. It's not just a single sort of like how to get your SEO for your website up, but as you said, like web design and social media management. That you're covering a huge amount of areas now.
Yeah.
And what is it? Did you say you got 40 employees? Is that right?
Yeah, there's a lot of people in our team that really are great at what they do, right? And I acknowledge what my strengths are, which is working on the business and strategy now, as opposed to just sales and marketing. I did that early days until I hired my VP of sales, and then I hired my account manager, and then I hired different people because you want to do things that are more top level, right? That's working to expand your brand, build upon it, right? And just enjoy the process too.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you. So I read also that you're a coach and a mentor to some. So do you have a coach or a mentor yourself at the moment?
So right now I join a lot of communities, and they're great. Like a lot of it for me has been self-taught for some reason. I read a lot and I enjoy, as much as a coach can guide you, it's all self-determination and it's all about accountability. And I put a lot of pressure on myself already. So I don't know how much more a coach would do for me if I already know what I need to do and how to do it, right? Um, what I found was when I was growing throughout my career, from my sales managers to all the business owners I met to even the SEO career, I had people that trusted me that I can turn to, right? So all these business owners, and it could be thousands of them, every hour I had with them once a year, meetings, I was so curious. I was so trying to figure out why they were doing what they were doing. What really motivated them? What were the aspects that really determined who they were, like value wise, right? Like not only passion and, honesty and trust and all that stuff. It was like mindset, what really pushed them to do what they were doing? Family, community, more about the lifestyle, more about like the commitment to really do good, right? Be kind, be nice to people, right? Like just do things that are extraordinary. And I love that, right? Like that's what I wanted to bring to the table when I started this journey, right? Like take care of my staff, take care of my clients, do the best I can, continue growing, keep being curious, keep learning. And it's an evolving industry, which I love as well. Because if it was stagnant, I don't know what I would do if I knew everything. I don't know if I would know everything in SEO because it's always an ongoing battle,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. What's your favorite couple of books in 2020 that you've read?
So I just read Ray Dalio's Work-Life
Oh,
Principle.
amazing.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I read a lot on health. Deep Nutrition was a good
Right.
one. Read a lot of Dave Asprey's book. I've been doing a lot of just self-reflection on my hobbies and interests, right? From sports to health to relationships to goal setting, life perspective. And then of course business, right? On scaling and build to sell, build like
Yeah.
Tribe, super fans. I read a lot, right? So it's more um, whatever piques my interest at that time, I'll just buy it. And when I buy books, I buy like 20 books from Amazon and I'll read it in a couple months and I'll buy the next batch.
So you mentioned just now about hobbies and sort of, so do you have a hobby or side hustle at the moment?
I don't have time for side hustles. I run a business. I have a lot of projects that are kind of utilizing a lot of people. Um, in terms of hobbies, I used to go to the gym regularly. but because of pandemic, I
Yeah.
haven't. I'm a big avid Raptors fan, Toronto Raptors.
Right.
So I go
That
to,
basketball?
yes, basketball.
Okay.
So they won 2 years ago here in Toronto. So I've been a season ticket holder for many years. So
Oh,
I
amazing.
really enjoy watching live events. I travel a lot with my family. So, as hard as you work, you need to enjoy it as well. So I make time for people that really matter in my life. And really disconnect when I'm not working, which allows me to be present and just allows me to be ultra grateful for what I have.
Mm, mm, mm. And so where have you traveled before pandemic? Is there anywhere that sort of springs to mind that was an amazing experience?
Yeah, so everywhere from I did the Alaska cruise, I've been to across US, Europe, I've done Hawaii, I've done Asia, multiple countries. I haven't been to Australia yet or Japan.
Okay.
These are areas that I probably need like a little bit longer, like 2, 3 weeks to
Yeah.
go to. So it hasn't afforded time to do that with this company yet.
Yeah.
Um, but I try to do like 4 to 5 trips a year, and I haven't been able to this year. So next year we'll probably do like a bigger trip if things work out to like either Japan or Australia or something.
Okay. Fantastic. Um, Something that I was reading about you, you said something about honesty and how honesty is a way of being able to get return on investment for your clients. What do you mean? So you've read Ray Dalio's principles with radical transparency and radical honesty, and which I think is a really important sort of concept for businesses. But what do you mean by honesty that gets return on investment for your clients?
So I story tell a lot, which is the best way to let people in on where you're at in your life, right? And what your plans are, because you have goals and aspirations, but you have also core values, right? What's important in the foundation of your business. And family means everything to me. So when I built this company, it was all about the core value of commitment, hard dedication, and really honesty, right? Respect, relationships. And that's the biggest thing. So a lot of my staff never left me. Like this is their first job and they might never leave me, right? So treat them well, like family. My clients hardly leave me unless they're about to sell their business or, situational things happen. It's all about just being there and supporting them throughout this journey of this marketing journey, right? Digital journey, online experience. So everything is about just being transparent along the way and actually caring, but meaning to care, not like saying you're going to care and it's all lip service, right? Like
Yeah.
there's a difference when you tell someone that you're doing something versus you're saying it just to say it, right? There's a deeper meaning. And when I say something, I actually mean I want to do it or it will happen.
Right. Um, I think that's really important. I take a massive respect because I think keeping your clients and keeping your employees shows that you're obviously doing something very, very well. So well done on that. Gonna go a little bit different side of question. What's more important in 2020 and 2021, social media or a website?
I I always say website, because it's your asset. Social media is advertising to interrupt people. So again, if you have a Twitter, Instagram, Facebook page, people have to know who you are, and you have to already have a community, right? But you're leveraged on someone else's platform. The website piece is owning your own domain,
Mm,
hosting, and you have a website, right? So you can put whatever you want on that website.
yeah.
So owning an asset is definitely better.
But are more people looking at social media than websites at the moment?
Again, it depends on where you're being marketed, right? Where people are locating you and finding you. So, if you're a product type business, if you're a coach or a consultant, you might have to advertise to get in front of more eyeballs through social, right?
Yeah.
Interrupt someone's attention to get in front of them. But with search, or if you're a product, you can do, a lot of influence marketing or Amazon, Shopify, like use Etsy and different platforms to really market your product. Um, If you own a website, then and you're a service type business, I think there's a lot of searches going on Google, right? And so for me, I focus on service type, professional type businesses,
Right. Okay.
B2B, larger companies that understand the value of when people land on your website, they're serious,
Yeah.
right? Versus paid ads, I focus on the map and below, which is more earned media. You're now a thought leader in your space for that given keyword term, right? Query. So
So, what's your view on Google Ads as a medium to promote your business?
yeah, so if you're showing up on ads, you are paying to play, right?
Yeah.
Same as Google, Facebook ads, Instagram ads. Um, the challenge with ads is majority of the people don't even click on ads today. Um, it's interrupting someone's space, and anyone can pay to play. And consumers understand the difference between paid ads and earn organic media
Yeah.
assets, right? So it's all the user's intent and mindset that you have to understand, right? The user behavior, not so much what Google is trying to monetize for, right?
But it's interesting, just on that, because I must admit, 4 or 5 years ago, I would do a search on Google, and I would skip through all the ads, and I would go to the top search that was available on SEO, the top one there, and that would be my sort of filter to choose what to read, whether I was looking at sport or business or whatever, finance, whatever it was, but a book that I was reading or whatever. I don't think that's, well, I can say from my personal point of view, I've started using Google Ads, AdWords, for my podcast course. So I run a podcast course teaching people how to do this podcasting thing, and I used Google AdWords and Google Ads, and have been quite successful in getting attraction and interruption, and people inquiring, and then developing a relationship and sales call, and then bringing them on board and doing the course. I think because of that experience, I probably now I'm not phased by actually having a look at a couple of the ads to see if what is Google is advertising is actually relevant. Am I just coming from a different experience because I've run a business where I've used Google Ads? Is there still this determination with most users which scroll through the ads and go to the first entry on Google?
No, I think you are starting off the right way. Spend money on a lot of different platforms, different channels to see what works for you,
Yeah.
right? Play around with ads, spend thousands of dollars to see what works. It could be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google. Do funnels, do landing pages, do email marketing funnel sequencing. Understand marketing, understand user intent, user behavior, call to action, understand headlines, understand what triggers people's intention to buy, right?
Mm.
And then once you're in business for a couple years, once you have enough clients to then determine which are good clients, the ones that are going to stick with you. So there's a difference between someone paying an ad and clicking through to get a new customer versus someone that found them on the map or below, because those people that you've cultivated and they already did their due diligence and vetted you out versus you sold them because of an offer, because they wanted something immediate. The quality, the type of client, the persona is different. So it depends on where you're at with your business. But if you want to go after a long-term strategy and this is what you want to do for the next 5, 10, 20 years, SEO is the way to go. If you're starting off in your industry or business and you don't know if this is a side hustle or a real business, play around with ads. See what works and what doesn't. Because if you invest in SEO and you commit all your budget, it might not be worth it because you don't have real revenue to get you through the challenging slow months, right? So that's why I always look at people that have more established small, medium-sized businesses, been around for about 5 years, has a couple 100,000 in revenue or a couple $1 million in revenue, they get it. They know how to run a business.
Yeah.
Then they can then focus on long-term SEO, understanding to become experts in their domain. So I know my avatar, I know my market, I know who I want to target. And that takes time, right?
Yeah.
And at least you're starting, and don't give up. Keep trying, keep pivoting, keep learning, keep making mistakes.
Awesome. Right, we're coming to the end of the interview. So I asked the same 6 questions that I ask everyone. They are short fire questions, but they don't need a short fire answer. It's up to you. First question is, what's the best decision that you made?
Marrying my wife.
Good. What's the best piece of advice you've been given?
Hard work. Just keep working. My mom says, stay focused and keep working.
So what's your view on hard work versus working smart?
Yeah, I mean, working smart, you'll get to there. But at the beginning, it's all the grit, right? It's all the determination of, a lot of people have different perspective of what hard work is. So for me, I come from a family that hard work meant either food on the table or not. So a lot of people who come from maybe middle class, their hard work could be different, right? It's all relative. Right. So I feel understanding the benchmark is critical in everyone's situation.
Okay, awesome. That's a good answer. Who's helped you most in your career?
Helped me most, I think, guidance from my mom, my parents.
Okay. Any regrets?
I live without regrets. I know there's mistakes I make all the time, but it's learning from the mistakes that builds and molds you to become the person you are.
Awesome. What are you most proud of?
Proud of, I don't know. I just want to be very proud to be present and being with my son and spending as much valuable time as I can at the moment with him. So I disconnect. I'm there with him. I walk him to school, I bring him home, and I don't even turn on my computer, laptop, email, or anything. I'm there. So just being present is so critical for me.
How old is your son?
5.
5. Okay, awesome. It's good age. Good age. Gone through the baby stage. What does legacy mean to you?
Again, I've always contemplated on that. I've been working on a book. I've been running this company. I've been trying to build more of a community. For me, it's all about like just knowing that I did my best, and that's all I can be known for, right? Like someone that actually tried, right? Hard work, honest, and gave it all, right?
Amazing. And where can people find you?
So my website is www.localseosearch.ca. You can reach out to me personally. You can find me on LinkedIn. On the team page of the website, you can actually find my name and LinkedIn me or message me. And then we also have a podcast as well. And it's
nice. What's it
called Local SEO Today. And it was really started 2 years ago. Me and my VP of sales, he had 30 plus years of working at Yellow Pages. Right. So that's where we met. And I got him to come with me on this journey 5 years ago. And it's been a godsend because when I was at Yellow Pages, he was one of my mentors as well. So I really looked up to him, and I'm now like absorbing as much as I can from him on a daily basis. So I admire that. And I'm so grateful for him to be on my team.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you, John. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Cheers.
Well, thanks a lot, Mark.